A while back, there was a professional speaker that was holding a seminar for a group of business students. He used an illustration they'd never forget. His wonderful short story served as a refreshing reminder about keeping the big picture in sight. As this man stood in front of the group of high-powered overachievers, he said, "Okay, time for a quiz." He pulled out a 1-gallon wide-mouthed mason jar and set it on the table in front of him. He then produced about a dozen fist-sized rocks and carefully placed them one at a time into the jar. When the jar was filled to the top and no more rocks would fit inside, he asked, "Is this jar full?" Everyone in the class said yes. "Really?" he replied. He reached under the table and pulled out a bucket of gravel and poured some into the jar. When he shook it, the pieces of gravel worked themselves into the big spaces between the rocks. He asked the group once more, "Is this jar full?" By this time, the class was on to him, and they answered, "Probably not." "Good," the expert replied. Then he brought out a bucket of sand and poured it into the jar. Once again, it had filled all the spaces between the rocks and the gravel. He asked the question, "Is this jar full?" "No," the class shouted. Once again, he said, "Good." Then he picked up a pitcher of water and poured it into the jar until it was filled to the brim. He then looked up at the class and asked, "What was the point of this illustration?" What do you think the point is? Here's the teacher's reply. The truth to this illustration teaches us this: if you do not put the big rocks in first, you'll never get them in at all. What are your big rocks? A project you want to accomplish? Time with loved ones? Your faith? Your education? Your finances? A cause? Teaching or coaching your children? Adventuring? Remember to put the big rocks in first or you'll never get them in at all.